why life is falling apart, or at least it feels like life is falling apart when we are moving through the masculine initiation. And part of the masculine initiation is to take a very close look to our masculine ancestral lineage. Because we live in an incredible time, 2026. We live a time of conflict, and we experience that within ourselves as well. And the last month, my life completely fell apart, and which is part of my soul's journey. And everything that I was avoiding, I didn't want to see, I was neglecting within myself, it came to the surface through a health crisis. So during this video I also explain, like, okay, so our reality is, of course, it's a mirror. Our external reality is a mirror of what's happening within us. But we are only conscious of the top of the iceberg. Everything that's underneath, the unconscious, the subconscious, we are not aware of. But we are becoming more conscious, which means is that everything that's hidden within our own shadow is coming to the light. And throughout our soul's journey, and this is kind of really what we are aligning ourselves with, because of course, you know, we do a lot of things out of the mind and we put our body into action, and of course our actions is the bridge between our internal and the external, but we also have a lot of conscious and unconscious behaviors. So what's happening is we are shifting into a more of an alignment or in coherence within deeper aspects of ourselves, of why we really came here, what it is that we choose to do for ourselves. But here's the thing, part of the masculine initiation, we were born into families. And when we look back to our stories, we think, well, unfortunately I wasn't really born in the right kind of family. But for our soul's agreements, we were born in the right kind of family. But let's say when a boy is around 7, 8 years old, it is supposed to lean more towards the father. The father is there for the boy's initiation process to go through adolescence. But within our modern time, things happen that should not have happened, or things didn't happen that should have happened for our natural state of development. And throughout our adolescence, when we don't get this support of a father role, we look around to our social group, our peers, and we disconnect. We don't relate, we can't relate because they grew up in another way. And we don't seem to fit in. We become the black sheep, the lone wolf. And we take everything in, you know, and we don't express. We store it within our body, our emotions, our fears, our anger, our frustrations, our grief, our sadness, you name it. We store it within our body. And we distract ourselves. Maybe through work or other addictive behaviors. And we grow older, we grow older, we grow older. And things coming to the surface that seems like off. We struggle eventually with relationships, with work, with job, with money. Until we get a final notice, our health. We're moving through a health crisis, showing that we are not in alignment. Is that we don't live in coherence of what our soul really wants for ourselves. And this is exactly what happened to me for the last months. What happened exactly? We were planning, or we actually moved to Spain, to La Palma, and our idea is to start workshops around masculine embodiment and such. Instead, I got exposed or confronted with a health crisis. 2 days before I turned 40, the 17th of February, I woke up with a terrible infection. I had to go to the emergency. And pretty soon I had to go to a main hospital. I had to go into the ambulance for 1 hour on a lot of medication to ease down the pain because the pain was unbearable. My whole testicle was swollen. It was really, really painful. Came to the hospital, had to wait there in the emergency room. People came in, lost their lives. Terrible. Eventually I had to go through a scan. And they saw something, but they didn't want to tell me. They said, okay, yeah, we need further research, but we can't do this right now. We're going to call you back next week or something, or maybe go back to your own country to get it sorted. So I went to a private clinic, to a urologist, to really to go further and deeper into this investigation. And they saw that I needed urgent surgery to remove a tumor into my testicle. But I was in Spain and I got a Dutch health insurance. 1 week passed dealing with my health insurance company. Eventually came to the conclusion they didn't want to help me. They didn't want to assist me with throwing out a lot of bureaucracy. So we had to throw out our plans of starting off our projects of what we want to do. We had to move back to the Netherlands because I had to go to the hospital here to see another urologist. And the same day they said, okay, yeah, you need to go to the urgent surgery department. Moved to another hospital, and there I was. I was waiting treatment for the same evening. Eventually it became the next day. So I had to go through the surgery. They took it out. They took the whole thing out. And yeah, it was a shock. It was a big shock for my whole body, my whole nervous system. The same day I got released. But yeah, eventually I got confronted with the facts that there was a tumor in my body. And I know, yeah, it manifested in my body. But I also know it's coming from a long way. 20, 30 years of living in a certain way. Living in a certain way that's obviously wasn't very healthy for me. So yeah, I had to take a break, take a rest. I was forced into, of course, into stillness. And yeah, this is the process of really reflecting deeply of where I've been with my inner state of being that is so out of alignment, is so out of coherence within myself. But anyway, of everything that has been removed, a couple of days later it started to infect. I went back to the hospital to the urologist and I said, I think maybe, is this normal? Is this becoming an infection? He said, no, it's all normal after surgery. You know how it goes. A couple of days later it became an infection, and yeah, I was on antibiotics for another 2 weeks. Eventually, yesterday I got rid of the antibiotics, so now I'm catching up a little bit. But it has been an intensive 4 weeks, more than 4 weeks. So yeah, this is the time for me to go through this process of what the sacrifice all meant. Yeah, the masculine initiation, it really refers to the sacrifice, to the experience of pain, of disappointments, of setbacks. Because through the pain we experience, through this experience we gain wisdom. And let's say the archetype of the magician, even within our own North European cultural heritage, we also had archetypes, you know, divine archetypes that went through that, through the sacrifice to gain wisdom. It is the archetype of the magician, which is one of the 4 masculine archetypes. But anyway, there we are, we're moving through the soul's journey of moving into coherence between mind, body, spirit, soul. Because when we are not, we face crisis. The crisis we face, it's a reminder we are off track, and we need to go through that. We need to go through the conflict that we experience within ourselves. It's to go through these different layers of the emotions that we have been suppressing, neglecting, avoiding, including myself. I always have been very, very good at it. Because this is the key towards higher consciousness, towards opening up to our sensitivity. Not become weak, but become stronger. Is to get in touch with our inner authority, so we become a sovereign spiritual being. And this is what we are moving into. But yeah, we have a lot of questions, because we can feel very scattered. When we look to our way of growing up, we can look at the ancestral patterns, you know, like, yeah, we see, you know, the father we needed wasn't there. I became the father of my own father emotionally, because of his victimization, immaturity, you name it. And then we look and we can show compassion of recognizing how we grow up. And I look to my grandfather, and he was a child growing up both in the Second World War and also the major flood here in this region. And my great grandfather, who had to work for the Germans as a fisherman. So all these things, you think like our ancestors were able to process these type of emotions: anger, frustration, fear, victimization, scarcity, poverty. Now it has been passed over from generation to generation to generation. And we as lone wolves, we recognize we're here to break that lineage, to go into this state of inner coherence. So as we are feeling very fragmented or scattered all over, we don't have a clear vision, we feel a little bit lost. We are the captain of our ship, but we lost the control over the rudder of the steering wheel, and the ship goes a little bit through various storms, and we can't really see ahead what's happening. It's really, really good to have little mirrors of where we are at in our soul's journey. And if we look to our Northwest European cultural heritage, we know we had a shamanic impulse. But the shamanic impulse, our ancestral wisdom, has been wiped out, which of course is another kind of ancestral trauma that we are working through as magicians. But we can also recognize that we had tools. We had tools to work with, to see where we are at currently in our path, to recognize ourselves in that process. And one of these tools could be like the divination tools of the runes, which was used by the medicine men and women, the magicians from our ancestors, from the tribal communities. Because when we move from the tribal communities to a farmer-based society, something really, really crucial changed, which is still affecting us today. Because as in the tribal communities, of course, the boys were taken by their fathers to go out on the hunt, and they became hunters and warriors. And we don't have this kind of initiation process anymore, and that's why so many men feel lost right now today. So for those who are on this path to evolve within themselves, who want to have that alignment and coherence within themselves, because eventually we can look from a cultural heritage, lineage, and see at different kind of nature-based spiritualities we had. But now, of course, we also have science, metaphysics, quantum physics. I'm not a scientist. I am not a teacher of the old Asian traditions. But it explains a lot, because when we move into physics, we see that what's happening, the cells within us, it vibrates. We have an inner vibration, and through the frequencies of the external, we manifest and we perceive the external. It becomes a mirror. We're looking in a mirror. But so many of us, we are looking in a mirror of a swamp. We're falling deeper, we spiral deeper into the abyss. So to come out of this, if we see like, okay, we are out of alignment, I need to connect with my soul to find my way back home, to remember my essence. Because eventually the masculine initiation is to connect with our inner essence. Because essence builds presence. The masculine energy is the container, the outside shell offers protection. to the divine feminine. So this is really like the path to calm. But coming back to the tools that I'm working with my clients, are the tools of the runes used by our ancestors, the medicine man, woman, magician who practice the shamanic traditions of cider, for example. And I do these type of readings to really to see where I'm at right now today, that I need to know, that I need to go through. And the runes that I got for myself, first of all, was the rune of Sowilo. Sowilo is the rune of the light, of the sun. And what that explains is that we are eliminating the path. It's also the connection with the higher self, the light within ourself. So let that be that, yes, right now I am coming into coherence within my soul's journey, my soul's path, even through all the chaos, the setbacks, the sacrifices, the pain, the crisis, at so many different levels. I need to go through that to recalibrate. This is something we need to recognize to gain that level of awareness and consciousness. But then I got a couple of reversed runes. What that means is that there's not so much of a negative, but it has a reversed effect. The second one was the Raidho. Raidho literally means is to ride out into the world, both travel but also the spiritual journey. Reversed, this is a blockage within our travel, which happens. I was in La Palma, I had to come back, plans changed. So that really reflects on this whole aspect. Then Fehu, reversed. Fehu literally means is the symbol of life force energy, wealth, abundance. It literally means is that how more cattle you had, how more abundant you had. Now we don't exchange in cattle anymore, but it's our life force energy. So I got completely set back in my life force energy, in my resources, financial setbacks. So also that is a reflection on that. So the challenge within this is that we should not seek or chase down external resources, but become resourcefulness within ourselves. Like, how do we create the abundance within ourselves is to feel abundance instead of trying to force, manipulate, control the external. Then I got the Mannaz. Mannaz literally means is how we see ourselves, our identity, our self-image related to the tribe. Now, because of this is of course a massive identity shift, in identity crisis, because everything that I've done was falling apart. It didn't work anymore. So what is working? This is the question. And this is also really like, okay, so how do we redefine ourselves through this whole process of recalibration? Now, this is just an example of going through a reading or going through a process of divination, because divination leads to initiation. And this is really something that I do as well with my clients, one-on-one sessions, is to really to hold up a mirror, not to predict or do any fortune telling or see what the future has hold for us, because we are creators ourselves. We create our own reality. So there's no such thing. Today someone may say, well, based on your current energetic vibration, I sense that you are moving into this path. Next day you change your vibration and you choose a different path. So there's no such thing. There's only a mirror of where you are at and what you need to know. And are you going to consciously choose the practice to move further and deeper into alignment? So this is what I'm creating. This is what I want to build. A group of men who recognize, yeah, you know, I've been through a lot of shit. I've been through a lot of crisis. I needed a father who was not there. My mother was not there. I felt the rejection, neglect, you name it. I've been through that. We all have our stories, but it was there meant for a purpose. We have then been through the ups and downs. We worked hard. We created businesses. We made money. We lost money. We had relationships. We lost relationships. and so forth. The ups and downs of life, it's there for a reason, to gain experience. But so many modern men, they don't want to go through this. They want to remain comfortable, but then they lock themselves up in a golden cage of an illusion. Because there's no such thing as comfort. This is the prison of the soul, and eventually they're going to feel it. They're going to see it within their reality, that wasn't the way either for them. But this is the path we are all walking on. So anyway, if you relate to this and you want to join the tribe, the community, this is for the lone wolf who want to join a pack of wolves. Is to develop our sensitive instinct and move into self-leadership and leadership in the outside world. To develop our inner authority, authenticity and sovereignty. If you feel the calling, you know what to do. Anyway, this is my first video since quite some time. I made a video when I was in La Palma, but I was way too sick to finish it off and upload. I still have it unlisted, so if you want to check it out, you see where I was at. It was beautiful, the external was beautiful. I can definitely tell another story about it, because so many of us, we romanticize about moving out, you know, especially people here in the north of Europe, Netherlands, Germany, England. We romanticize going to Spain, going to Portugal. I can also share some thoughts about that. Anyway, thanks for being here. Hopefully we can meet very, very soon. And yeah, let's connect, let's open up. All right, take care for now. Bye-bye.